Hi everyone, this is Dana again, and I'm going to be showing you in this video how to actually start your small, well in my case, a small cross-stitch pattern. As you can see on the screen, I've got my Max Stitch program open, which I've designed. This is the Japanese symbol for peace, called Hei, and I'm going to be using this as basically a small pin cushion that I'll be making in another video. But for now I'm just going to be showing you how to actually follow a cross-stitch chart. As you can see, I've only got one color on the chart. I've got the pretty pink thread that I was using last time, and so I'm going to be doing this pattern in pink, and then I may decide to do the background in another color. I haven't decided that yet. For now, you can see in the pattern that all along the edge of the screen here, you can see a lot of different thread colors. I usually use DMC. It's the most common needlepoint thread. I'm actually going to be moving that screen over a little bit because we don't need them all. Those are all the standard ones that pop up when you make your own pattern for the first time. So it's going to be closing that to get that out of the way a little bit. So you can see the pattern. You can see actually on the pattern itself, you can see every 10th line is a little bit darker, and that's standard across all cross-stitch patterns. Every 10th row, every 10th column will be gridded. So what you can do on your fabric is you can actually draw those grids according to the patterning on your fabric. It depends on how complex the pattern is. This one, it's because it's only about 20 by 20-ish. I won't be gridding on the actual fabric itself, but for more complex patterns I would definitely recommend doing that just as a start, and then see how you go from there. Some people like gridding, some people don't. Depends on your personal preference, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do the video of the entire pattern. I've got my fabric here, as you can see. But I'll start it off, and that way you can see how I follow the chart. Everybody is a bit different. Some people prefer to start at the top corner, center, whatever. I'm going to be starting up in this corner here, just so you can see where I'm starting from. And just for because of the project I'm doing, I'm actually going to be starting in this part of my fabric, just because I'm going to be using this other part of the fabric for a different project later on. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just randomly picking a corner here. So this corner here is going to be this bottom stitch here, right here. So I'll be, as before, come out and I go up and to the right to start my bottom row. And what I'm going to do, so I've got my first half stitch there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go across this entire row, do all the bottom stitches, and then I'll come back so you can see that. So on here you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches up to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 14 stitches in total. So I'll be doing 14 stitches. I'll be stopping and starting the video partway through just because, you know, watching me stitch is highly thrilling, I know, and once you've seen a few stitches you kind of get the general point of what I'll be doing with it. So there's 3 of my 14. So I'm going to keep stitching, and then we'll return to you when I hit the end of the row and I start turning around again. Alright, so as you can see, I've done my first 14 stitches across. Some people prefer to work all the way across in one direction and then come back. Some people would prefer to do each stitch individually as they go. I actually use a mix of both, so there is no right or wrong way to do this, just whatever you find easiest and whatever you find easiest to keep count with. The most important thing is to always double check the number of stitches you're going across on your pattern, and also the number that you've actually stitched on your thread, or sorry, on your fabric before you turn around. You can unpick mistakes. It's called frogging. Basically, the frog comes to visit because you have to rib it out. But obviously, unpicking your work isn't that much fun, so it's easier just to get the count right the first time. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be turning around and going back the other way, and then I'll stop the video again just so you can see me starting to go back. So as you can see, I go back into the stitch behind it, start at the bottom and go up and to the left. Make sure you can see that. And I'll do one more and then I'll pause the video again and you can see it when I've finished the row. Alright, so we'll give that a pause and I'll be back. Yeah, so as you can see, I've finished my rows going across, my 14 stitches. I'm going to be starting on the next one across, which is going to be the row above. As you can see here on the pattern, it's one stitch in that it's starting, this upper row, and it extends beyond 2 stitches on the same row and then goes up and across 3 stitches. So I'm going to be starting that, and I will start off so you can just see where I'm starting from. So I'm going in 1 stitch, so I'm starting here and going up and across that way. So I'll be going across, and as I said, I'll be extending 2 stitches beyond and then up and over 3 stitches, and I will come back after that part has finished. Talk to you in a minute. Alright, as you can see, I've finished that top row section, and what's actually going to be happening now is I'm going to have to change my thread because my thread is getting really short on the back, so I'll show you a quick way, one way that you can do this. So I'm going to flip it over. You can see my back of my piece there. So one way you can do this that's pretty simple for beginners is you can just run, you can either make a little knot or you can just run your needle under a couple of the stitches and then just trim the ends up like that. So you can just choose a couple of stitches. Some people really like to keep their backs like crazy super neat. I'm not really that fussed about it. Like, I don't want big knots on the back, so that means you're using up your thread in a really unnecessary way, but I don't really care about like whether or not things look as perfect on the back as they do on the front. So you can see I've stitched under a couple of the stitches there. Do one more just to be safe. You can also just loop your thread and around one of these stitches and then tie a little knot like that, and then I'll be snipping that off and starting a new thread. And then I'll be showing you how to basically count down to find this portion of the piece here so you don't screw that up as far as counting, and then pretty much the rest of it's going to be exactly the same as what I've showed you. You're going to be counting across to see where you're starting your next stitch, going over that many stitches. In this case, this width here is 3. Not sure if you can see that very well with the video. So I'll be doing that whole pattern and then showing you what it ends up looking like. Alright, so I have snipped up the back of my threads and I am about to start a new row. One thing I will show you is the snips that I use. I have these ones here. They're really cool. They're very flat so they can lie directly against the fabric and not worry about piercing the fabric. You can get really close to the fabric without cutting through it. So really handy. These ones are Madeira brand. I got them probably about 20 years ago. And I'm not sure if this company even still exists, but there are other ones that I've seen in sewing shops and online and whatnot. But yeah, this kind of snip is very good. Make sure you get the one that's got the little protective top for it because you don't really want to be stabbing yourself when you're reaching for your scissors. But anyway, so what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to show you how to go in this area here of the pattern. You can see that there's like the little floating line here. What I'm going to be doing is showing you how to count to figure out where exactly that's going to be in relation to the rest of this upper line here that I just stitched. And then after that, it's pretty much the same thing. You just have to count, make sure your counting is accurate, and then all the elements will fall into place as they're supposed to, which is always a good thing. So I'll be starting off that little side element here, and then after that I'll be just stitching away, and then I will show you the finished product once I'm done. So as you can see, I'll go back to focus here. As you can see, the beginning of this little pink line here, it starts one row in and one row down from the end of the bottom part of the line. So that's how I'm going to know where to start my stitching. So I'm going to go one, so there's that end one here. So I'm going to go one down and one in, and that's going to be my top left-hand corner of that stitch. So because I always start in the bottom left corner, so that's going to be my top, so I'm actually going to come up through this hole here. If you need to, make a little hole with your needle so that you get it accurate. So you're going to come up through there. And through, and that little top part is 2 stitches across. So I'm going to do my 2 stitches across. And then you can see it's got a stitch directly underneath of it. So I'll do that one as well. This is when I'm starting from that corner, just to make it a little easier. And down. And then that one's got one directly next to it. And then one directly underneath again. And that's it. That's all that little line is. So you can see there, and then you can see here on the pattern. So we've got 2 across, 1 down, 2 across, 1 down. So that's what I've stitched here at the beginning anyway. And what I'll be doing is I'll be going back, and then I will be doing the rest of the pattern, and I will show you what that looks like once I'm finished. Alright, so as you can see, I have finished the cross stitch. Probably took me, I'm guessing, about 30 to 40 minutes to do that. It's not that big of a piece, so it didn't take too long. And one thing I do want to point out is that on the pattern here, you can see that it was done with color blocks, so you can see the colors were pretty much the same and pretty easy to follow. It depends on the pattern though. A lot of patterns, I'm going to show you on the computer here, they will come, your pattern will come with black and white symbols. So as you can see down the side here, you can see your colors of all your threads. Obviously this one only has one color. And then next to it you'll see all the symbols. And then the fabric manufacturer, the fabric number, color name. So as you can see in this pattern, it's only got the cranberry color, so that's its symbol, the black square. So it's pretty easy to follow, and obviously anything that doesn't have a symbol is either white, which will be indicated. In this case it's an N, but sometimes the white is just a blank square, or it'll have another symbol, like in this case it's N, if I did use white as a thread as well. One thing to note though is if you're doing a really complicated pattern, it's going to look really kind of messy on your pattern. It's okay. Easiest way to do it is just to pick one color and do a little section, maybe, I don't know, 20 squares-ish on average square. Do that color. If you have a paper version, you can highlight it. You can mark it up on a PDF reader. There's lots of different ways to keep track of where you are. Just do that one color in that section, and then switch to another color, things like that. So even though your pattern may end up looking really complicated, either with black and white symbols in this case, or color symbols you can get ones that are color blocks with the symbol. This particular function has a neat function where you can see it makes it render like stitches, or tent stitch, which is just going the one direction. So in my case it'd be going just the understitch. So it depends on your pattern, but very often your patterns will be printed in black and white symbols. So that is something to be aware of. It will be a little bit more complicated to read than if it was just color blocks, but the symbols actually makes it simpler if you have more than a couple of colors, because it makes you a lot more accurate as far as determining which color it is that you're actually trying to use. Because some colors are, you can see here, some of the colors are very close to each other. It is easy to make a mistake if you're just trying to read the pattern purely off of the color of the chart. So that's it for now. You can see my little peace symbol here, very cute. I probably will be making this into a pin cushion at some point. I may or may not do the background a different color. Have to wait and see how I feel about that. But yeah, that's all for now. Thanks very much. Talk to you later.